Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bad, the Worst, a podcast where we discuss movie trilogies in an attempt to equalise each entry. I'm your host, a real Dadushka and former member of Gladys Knight and the Pips, and joining me as always are...
Who am I? I'm your father. Your mother just hasn't told you about me yet. I'm actually Griner.
And I'm Luke, and when you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud too.
You brought a napkin.
Yep, visual cues and everything.
Old.
All right, this is the first ever Denzel trilogy that we've done and that exists. The only franchise he's ever done. He's ever graced, really. The Equalizer. 2014 was the time for dad vengeance films. We've got John Wick and The Equalizer 1, both in 2014. Did either of you guys see these, I guess, in that time? Or did you even see these movies before this?
I'd seen Equalizer 1, and I watched Equalizer 1 pretty early, probably the year after release or so.
Okay.
I know I watched it a year after or so after I'd watched John Wick. It's funny to hear that it came out the same year because I was like, okay, they're trying to capitalize on John Wick. When I watched Equalizer, I was like, this is, a cheaper version of John Wick. But no, that was before I watched it.
No, it's fine. I just, yeah. It's an interesting comparison.
Like,
we'll get to it, I suppose.
And then, but I'd never seen the other two because I thought, just from looking outside, it didn't make too much noise. It was like, a second one came out, mustn't have been very good. So I just never really paid attention. So, yeah.
I thought I had seen the first movie, but I'd actually seen Man on Fire, another Denzel Washington ex-CIA, where he plays an ex-CIA agent and is involved with Dakota Fanning. Like the links are there's a little too many for my liking. But yeah, I know I hadn't seen any of these movies, hadn't had an interest in them, to be honest.
Yeah, so they came out within about a month of each other. Equalizer actually came out first, it says September, and then John Wick October.
That's crazy.
But I had the same thing. I think we talked about it in John Wick. They were both there was a sleeper hit, and I remember working the video store when this came out and seeing them on the shelf and like, these are both lame dad action films, and then I ended up seeing John Wick, and I've never been the same since. And then I saw Equalizer, and I thought the same thing as you, Luke. I was like, this is just kind of this is a poor man's version of John Wick because they are very comparable in conceit. It's as sort of like a charismatic movie star who's past his prime. Looks like they're cashing in on the Liam Neeson formula, and they're both vengeance based vigilante. Like guilty pleasure movies. You go in there, you just have a good time. You don't have to think too much. Now, obviously, even the first ones, but then just seeing where the trilogies go, they go in starkly different directions. But yeah, I don't know. Equalizer always felt to me kind of like a franchise that was 15 years past its prime. Like, why are we getting this in 2014 when we have John Wick and things like that?
Yeah, it feels like a movie that belongs in, like, I don't know, 1995 or something like that. Like, just like the most generic action movie ever, almost. We'll get into it. I don't want to shit on them too much, but
I'll think be one of those podcasts. Yeah, I'm not overly invested in these movies either, but
no, that's how I describe myself. Not overly invested in them.
Yeah, Luke,
Luke's a big Equalizer head.
I am now.
Coming swinging.
I remember, like, that's the thing. I remember not, like, thinking that I wouldn't enjoy the first one when I first watched it years ago. And I remember being like, that was good, I think back then, I was like, okay, he's like John Wick, but instead of guns, it's more melee, and then John Wick sort of went that direction in other films as well and probably did it better, and watching them again, I don't know. I quite enjoyed them. It's definitely full of cliches and tropes and very typical villains where it's like, okay, this is this guy's a bad guy. He's so evil, Look at him. He's just a dirtbag for dirtbag's sake. But as the movies went on, I kind of got really into it. I was just like, this is kind of cool that it's like John Wick but vigilante, where it's like, John Wick's like very selfish, as in like it's out there. He's taking out people who have problems with him. He's like taking down this organization, and it's just all to do with him and what his dealings with them. But like seeing him just like see this, trouble happen on the street or see this woman being harassed, and he's just like, no, these young punks, I'm just going to go mess them up really bad. I kind of started enjoying it where I'm like, this is cool. He's just a crime fighter that's just going around beating the shit out of people.
It doesn't. I don't know. We'll get to it, I guess, but it feels like a little much to me at times. Like he's almost like a fairy godmother, going around solving everybody's problems, disappearing into the night.
Yep.
It's like no problem is to. He's Batman, but he murders dudes, which, like, in concept, I actually don't hate. Right? Like, I'm actually kind of really into that. Right?
If you sold that to a producer.
But the problems he's solving sometimes feel, I don't know, if they feel a little small in places. Like it feels like he's rescuing a cat from that's stuck in a tree sometimes.
But you know, he kills the person that put the cat in the tree.
That's right. He does murder the person that put the cat in the tree. You're right.
That cat will never fight.
He's like, you just looking at that cat? Yeah, boom, breaks his neck over a book, and then
Like you're right in that there is that kind of. It fills this interesting gap that I don't think needs to be answered, but also kind of you want to be answered. That is, Batman's doing that. Batman's fighting the Joker while crime's going on. And so I was like, what about the lay crimes? What about the guy who's just been mugged, you know? So I guess Spider-Man's kind of doing that in New York, but what about in real life? And that's kind of where this feels in. It's like, this guy's not stopping international conspiracies or supervillains. He is saving Grace Moretz in the diner. It's kind of like the ultimate vigilante fantasy that people, especially dads, I cannot reiterate this enough. This movie is for dads, and I don't say that even as an insult.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like this guy who's clearly past his prime, but is still the best guy in any room he goes into. He could kill anyone. He can charm anyone.
We relate to that.
I sure do. I felt seen watching these movies. And he's enacting the kind of justice we as the audience, I think, perceive a little more closely, right? Someone doing something wrong in the streets or in the shops, or a personal slight that we're like, someone really should punch that guy in the face. I won't do it because there's real reasons not to.
Literally watching this, I had the thought where I was like, this is like what I picture myself doing hours later, like when I'm just standing in the shower and I'm just like, oh man, that dude talking in the cinema, I should have just stood up, said this badass line and, you know, choked him with popcorn or something. But Denzel's actually doing it.
Put a shot glass through his eye or something.
It's just blind him. Yeah, see a movie now.
Yeah, straight through the straw in the cup.
But it is interesting though, looking at it now, like, these movies did go a different path to. Again, John Wick's the easiest counterpoint I have, but like these movies are more like Taken than anything else.
It feels a little bit like a weird comparison to make with John Wick, because John Wick is really about this stylized action.
Yes, yeah.
And the world and kind of the plot comes second, whereas this is like a lot more slow and methodical. And the action's not really that stylish. Like it's more brutal, I would say, than anything.
You're right.
It's gory, it's brutal, but it's kind of slow. It's not stylish, and I appreciate that. Like, I'm glad it didn't try and, our first movie came out at the same time as John Wick. Let's try and make Equalizer 2 like John Wick. I'm glad they didn't go down that path, because we don't need everything to try and mirror John Wick, right?
No, I had the same thought, and I enjoyed seeing number 3 as well. Being like, yeah, I'm glad we kind of have this spiritual successor to Liam Neeson's Taken mantle, rather than John Wick's awkward cousin. Like, you're right. These films, these like vigilante films, have a long history ever since Death Wish, and even before then, like 60s and 70s, really started this up in Hollywood. And so it's cool to have that kind of going. I guess it's a little bit. They kind of blended with the dad fantasy movies after 2007. But yeah, it's better that it did that rather than trying to make Denzel into, because he's not Keanu, and that's not an insult. That's it's just a recognition of him as a star, right?
Yep.
All right, should we do stats?
Yes.
All right.
Stats.
Equalizer 1 had a budget of between 55 and 73. I couldn't find real numbers. Made $192 million. Metacritic of 57. Equalizer 2 had a budget somewhere between 62 and 79 million. Made 190 million. Almost the same. Metacritic of 50. Equalizer 3 budget of 70 million. Made 150 million. I think it's still showing in some places, so that could grow. Metacritic of 58. It is worth noting. These were both written and directed by Anton Fuqua as well, longtime collaborator of Denzel, and interesting director. Had some real misses, but he's had some I mean, director of Training Day.
Training Day is the one that really stands out, right? Yeah.
Like, that really gave him a blank check for his whole career. He's never hit the same heights as that, but he's had a strong history of just kind of these movies, these like sort of, I don't know, double A, not huge, like large budget, but not massive budget sort of action spectacle films. Just kind of like your staples. Like, you're not, like we're talking about 90s and 2000s staples, that every fortnight you would expect to see one of these at the movies.
Yep.
He's kind of one of the few carrying this on, and Denzel is kind of one of the few who's still trying to bring that old school energy, and that's because he's an old school actor. All right, anyway, Equalizer 1. Robert McCall, a quiet and unassuming man with convenient OCD and living in Boston, is forced back into his violent ways to save a young prostitute from her Russian owners. We need to talk about OCD first and foremost. That is the biggest, strangest thing of these movies.
It's interesting, and there's a part of me that likes it, that it's this like, it's this character trait you don't see too often, especially in these like heroic roles. I don't feel like they do much with it at all, other than basically every now and again have something where it points to, oh, he's OCD, but then it doesn't really come into play in many other stuff other than napkins, or the timing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. I just don't think they really do much with it at all that's worth of note. But
yeah, I don't know. One problem is kind of like true OCD is an actual debilitating illness, right? Like, it prevents you from functioning normally. Whereas for Robert McCall, it's like, I have to unfold my napkin before I have a cup of tea. Like, they could have just made him like a really particular person, like really detail oriented, and it probably would have been the same effect. I mean, they never spell out that he's got OCD. There's that one scene where he's flicking the light switch is probably the most. But even that, I don't think was because I didn't take it as OCD. It was him messing with the Russian mobsters, I guess. I don't know.
If every time he killed someone, he had to spin around like 3 times before leaving
exactly
the room, I would have been like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, like that's what true OCD is, right? Like, it's not what we see here, I don't think, really.
It's worth noting, apparently Denzel did talk with he did his research coming into this. He spoke with people, like sufferers. And so there seems to be some truth to it. But you're exactly right. It is really, it's a very convenient quirk. It's apparently in the original script there was none of this. This was sort of Denzel contributed all this and said it should be a good idea, which is kind of what makes this movie in a way stand out from sort of the other, I don't know, the other peers, I guess, in the same park. Like, this movie is kind of like really good junk food, right? It's the best Mars bar you've ever. I don't know, it's a Snickers bar in a sea of crappier chocolate bars. I don't know what you guys like or dislike, but it's the kind of one you're like, that's what I will always have, and it's always good, and it's a little bit more the complex flavors are a little bit better than others, but at the same time, it's still junk food. Like, the little garnish here of OCD, it's like makes it interesting every time. It's like, oh, now I'm going to have him talk, and he's going to sort of look around weird, or he's going to do something strange. That's more fun than just him being like, I'm here to equalize you.
That's the thing. There is a part of me that likes it, because like if I try and think about the first movie and like think about all the scenes, I don't know if I would enjoy the movie more if he's not sitting in the cafe folding the napkin like that every time and having this routine and all that. And if he was just a dude that works at the hardware shop and he's just like, all right, time for vengeance, like I'm vengeance. But like that, I kind of like that, and it does become this character thing that I kind of. It's every movie when it goes to the scenes of him doing it again. I'm like, oh, there we go. It's the Robert McCall I know. But yeah.
I don't hate it. It does differentiate him a bit, but I feel like they definitely tone it down between 2 and 3 too. Like,
yeah, not 2. We'll talk about that.
So I watched. Well, without getting too much into it, I watched 3 first. And I didn't even really pick up on the OCD thing. Like, oh yeah, he's kind of particular. He just folds his napkin. He's just set in his ways, right? Like,
the whole coffee thing would have been ruined.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, there was a few little things that I didn't pick up on, obviously, but
Were you just like, who are you equalizing and why? What's happening?
Well, I feel
here?
like the movie largely stood on its own, though, right? Like, I mean, all of these movies do. They kind of just tell their self-contained story. There's not a huge great mythos here, really. I mean, you get a bit more of his background with the CIA or whatever it is in the first movie, but that's about it.
A big twist of her being the daughter of the mother wouldn't have hit for you.
No, I didn't know. Yeah, like, I assume those people in that photo, I'll understand who they are later. I assume.
Yeah. That would have made number one very exciting for you, though.
Yeah,
as soon as she turns up, you're like,
it's Dakota Fanning's mum and dad.
The Leo
meme. But that's to your point. I think that's where these movies they occupy this space of like their ultimate rewatchable movies in a way. Like if you turn them on somewhere, I don't know. I think I have done this. I've just flicked over through a channel scene. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a cool part. Like they're very segmented. They're very standalone.
Yeah.
There's that real sense of, oh yeah, cool. Here's him. You know, the guy walks into the diner and he orders the sandwich and he's like, you don't work. When the other guys come, you don't actually work with the wires. It's like, oh, I love this scene. You can just watch. You can do that. You don't have to really worry about has he navigated the machinations with the pimp and Chloe Grace Moretz yet. It's like, no, you don't. You know, he's gonna kill people. He's going to have cool standoffs. And they all work like that. You can just come in and watch any part of any of these movies and be like, I'm here to watch Denzel be the coolest guy in the room and just dispense justice like I wish I could. But then at the same time, like I said, it seems like they're always trying, especially number one, it's trying to be more than that. It's trying to be more of a character study of this guy with OCD. And it's like, is he doing this almost out of compulsion, or is it a morality thing? Is his OCD stopping him from doing more things? Is that
compulsion is vengeance?
Like, yeah, and like that is the reason why he's such a good killer because of this? I don't know. And they never use it. They never sort of complicate anything with it. Like, you know, it would have been great if he's...
Yeah, like even his morality could be more interesting. Like as soon as someone's in trouble, it's like, oh, you must be protected, you must be saved, but you have no qualms about killing a man with a family or anything like that, right? Like there's no chance for rehabilitation for anyone.
No,
it'd be really funny if like the whole thing is they're saying that no, like the OCD is what makes him such a good killer, and then like at the end of the movie in the credits it just says like there is currently this many people with OCD in America.
Like, have you guys seen The Accountant?
No, but I was going to bring that up. Yes, the same vein.
It's very similar, and he's a mathematical savant, but he's
that's where he's got
autistic.
Yeah, he's autistic. Yeah, it's the same principle, but like the most elite professional it's a classic thing. Like the person who's best at one thing is not good at something that everyone else is sort of good at. It's this makes it more interesting.
It's correct me if I'm wrong, Conan, you might not remember, but like I feel like a part of the marketing for the first one when it was coming out was all about like the watch and like the timing and stuff like that. I feel like it was on the poster and stuff like that, the timing, and it's kind of interesting in the first one. I like that scene where he first goes in there and he times himself like, oh, this should take 18 seconds, you know, and it goes into his detective vision where he's like analyzing how everything's going to play out.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Sherlock vision.
Yeah, Sherlock vision. He sees all these numbers flicking around. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. But yeah, it's I don't know. I do like it, and I think Denzel is good in this role. I enjoy watching him in this role. I think he's a good actor, and I enjoy just watching him talk and like teach morals, like, and have conversations with younger people and stuff like that. I like him. I like him.
That's these movies fall apart with a non-star.
Yeah, with a less charismatic actor, it's a lot harder to stomach, I feel like.
Yeah, like I'm sure there are other actors who would make it their own and make it really interesting, but kind of the combination of Fuqua with Denzel, it's like you've got this director who clearly knows him, who started, in the 90s. He started in the 90s, but he's making films in the 90s, 2000s. And you've got Denzel, who's like a titan of the industry. Yeah, he really... They live and die on him. He's just charismatic to watch. And this movie is so sort of on the nose about that. It's like this guy works at a hardware store, and the young guys are always like, "Hey, Pops, what'd you do before this?" They think he's really cool. He walks into the lunchroom, and one of the girls there is like, "He's like, how you doing?" He's like, "I'm better now." I was like, "Oh yeah," so everyone's attracted to him.
Yeah.
All the girls want to sleep with him. All the guys want to be him. He is the lovable dude at the diner who the young prostitute's clearly enamored with. Like,
Yeah.
literally everybody he meets just thinks he's great.
Dad
And I'm on
energy.
it. Like, and it's just like ultimate kind of dad energy, you know? You feel
We
it.
can relate. We can relate.
Exactly. And it is kind of like, it's so absurd. It's like, why is this dude the ultimate? But it's because it's Denzel. It's just because of that. It's in the fantasy world of equalizing, only can he sort of play that and not seem silly. And so that's why I can't be mad at these movies. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I feel like it's telling me it wants to be more, and I want it to be more. But then I'm like, nah. But Denzel's also telling me, hey, I'm just gonna Denzel the world. Cool.
Yeah, that's how I came away feeling too. Like they feel like they want to be more than just a fairly generic action movie, but they never quite surmount that hurdle, right? Like they never get up into that upper echelon like John Wick does, for example.
Yeah.
They just like, I don't know what's holding them back, but
it's like the watch. The watch is a big thing. Like that's kind of a trapping that seems cool. So so he's gonna compute every room, and maybe there'll be interesting scenes where he calculates but goes wrong, or he's so in his head that he doesn't see something. Like that would be interesting, and that's more of that's like a character study of his life is being ruined by his compulsion to deliver vengeance or vigilante justice, but it never does it.
Yeah, never does anything with the watch. Never does anything with the napkin. Like, yeah.
There's never really anything more than just like it's all very surface level. Like this movie feels like it's trying to be a character study. I think I've seen it 3 times now, and on this last watch, I'm like, because it's 2 hours, right? It's over 2 hours long for a very simple plot. And there is a lot of meandering in the middle. Just here's his day to day, kind of getting to know people.
Yeah,
like here's him playing baseball. It's like, okay, yeah, he's a man of the community. But why? It's like,
like he spends a lot of time training that guy to be a security guard and going and helping out his mum clean up after the fire. And like, yes, this movie in particular is way too long, in my opinion. Like it needs to cut down. They have a whole I don't know. Maybe we should talk about the main antagonist, but like he's kind of a cool bad guy. I kind of enjoy him.
Charismatic. He's interesting.
You mean the fixer, whatever it is?
Yeah, whatever
Teddy.
his name is, the New Zealand guy.
Is he New Zealand? Is that
yeah, he's.
There you go.
They I feel like they cross paths like 6 times. Like, you know, he comes to his apartment, pretends to be a cop, and then they meet in another place. Like I just feel like they're good scenes, but there's probably one too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a big meeting for them. Like, the two polar opposites that are like both really good at their job now finally meeting. How's this going to go down? Should have had the one at the door where he's pretending to be the cop, and then a final showdown. And that's it.
It's because it's telling like 3 different stories, right? It's one story is his life readjusting, or having readjusted, where he's training the dude to be a security guard, he's playing softball, and he's reading all the books on his list, and he's grieving someone. So okay, that's one movie. But then you got this other story where he also befriends a prostitute who pulls him back into his vigilantiness. And like those 2 movies, those 2 ideas are mashed together in this. And it works for the most part because they are thematically related. But you're right, you only need one of those. You either need him who's just his normal life is destroyed by something, or just the prostitute arc where he sees this one girl. She's his only connection because he's a widower, and that's it.
Yeah. And then it also gets really in the weeds about, you know, the dynamics of the Russian mafia and the Irish mafia or whatever. Like, there's a lot of that. Like, there's a whole lot of the Russian operations in whatever this city is. I assume it's
Boston,
New York?
man.
Boston, yeah, whatever.
Boston. No,
I'm
this
not
is a
American.
Boston movie.
I'm not American. I don't know.
You didn't recognise their Boston accents?
No.
When he says, "Get in the car." When he goes and says,
Aussie.
He sees Little John. No, that's how Boston is.
Yeah, they're the closest to an Australian accent.
Yeah, pretty much. Like David Harbour in this movie is a wild ride. He is like he's dialing it up to 11. His accent is pretty great, and he's just and like there's a lot of time spent with him and there. You're right. There's like a 4th arc in there of their investigation, and cut out one of those, and the movie is lean and more probably better. I would say better, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that suffers from doing that is as it is now, you kind of get these as a rewatchable movie, it's kind of like, oh, here's this moment where he goes and talks to the Irish mafia, and it all goes to hell, and David Harbour's really mad at him. Like, that's a fun scene to watch on its own, but then have 16 of those, and it's like, oh, this movie is just too long.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, your channel surfing. It's like, oh, I want to watch this scene where he, you know, pulls the shotgun on him or whatever. But it's just, it's too much.
You're right, but it makes it a perfect movie to chop up. Like, I'll watch 45 minutes here, or I'll watch the first 20, and that's kind of it. So, Brian, you mentioned the violence, though. Like, that also kind of... Because thinking again about Taken's not really very gory. I don't think there's much violence in Taken.
It's more about the...
I haven't seen Taken.
Oh, let's do Taken next.
We will do it on
I legitimately... At the start of this podcast, I was like, that's right, Taken. I Googled how many Taken movies there are. I was like, there's 3. Yeah. Perfect. Two of them are so bad.
Yeah, diminishing returns. But like you're right, Taken's a thriller, whereas this movie is... I forget every time. Like, oh no, this is like MA, like hardcore.
And it comes out of nowhere, and it's like, oh man, that's really brutal. Like, and it's throughout the 3 of them where... usually, you know, the final act or the start of it, it's just like, oh wow, that's really brutal, and we don't even get that in John Wick. You know, it's more like just a lot of shooting and like all that sort of stuff, and a lot of punching and maybe a neck snap or something. But this is like, oh, that dude's head got blown off, and it's like, I
feel like this must be like R-rated in the US, right? Like John Wick feels very much like it's playing by the PG-13 rules of like, you're not showing the blood come out, like you can show them bleeding afterwards or whatever. Like there's all that, you know, there's all those rules they have to qualify for that rating, whereas they're not worried about that here.
I would assume so, like, because you're right, there's parts where he'll just watch someone bleeding out. Like he watches the first Russian guy. Yeah. And so like, God, he is like, he's opened up and it is blood everywhere. And it's like, wow. But again, that kind of makes this movie stand out from others a little bit. It's like, it's a vengeance flick that feels... I haven't seen enough to really judge, but it feels a bit different. It's like I don't know. I like it because it is gory. It's like, hey, this guy's just... He's got morality, but he'll also just put a shot glass in a dude's face. Yeah, so that's hardcore, man.
Like, it's in the 3rd one. I'll wait to...
There's a moment at the start of the 3rd one that I'm like, oh, and that was my introduction to these movies. Anyway, we'll get to it. But...
Yeah, legitimate. I think it's the exact same thing we're talking about.
I'm sure it is, but
we'll come back to that.
I like the ending of him kind of home aloning Bunnings, where he's just like setting his traps. It's totally Home Alone all over. But it's fun. It's fun.
It is.
You know, shooting someone with a nail gun will never not be fun.
It's true. James Bond did it once. Denzel.
It's been done before. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great. It's a again really sort of. It's not subtle. It's on the nose. There's a song playing, and the song is called "Vengeance," and the lyrics are like, "Before I
love that song, though.
I've always but it's just it's just like, okay, this is what's happening. We are seeing him get his vengeance, and these are his thoughts in song. It's really unsubtle, but that's why you come to these movies. You don't come to it for nuance and stuff. But as we mentioned, every time I watch it, I'm like, I want a bit of nuance. I want to see the Equalizer.
Yeah.
You know, directed by Darren Aronofsky. I just like, here's an interesting 3-hour examination of how crippling OCD ruins your life as a hitman or something.
Yep.
So I don't know. I like them, but I'm always like, what could have been? Chloe Grace Moretz, very young in this, but good. But I don't know, do you guys like her?
Not very young. She's definitely been younger. Like, I mean,
yes, most people.
I guess we've seen her younger, in particular in Kick-Ass is the one that comes to mind.
Oh, of course,
yeah.
That's my actually that is my bad.
She's had an interesting career. I like her I like her as an actress. I definitely feel like she's unfortunately there's a lot of young actresses, and we see it over and over and over again, where creepy men are waiting for them to turn 18, and I really think it has an effect on them. Like, they want to get out of the limelight, and I feel like we see it time and time again. I wonder if that's happened to her, but she's done a lot the last few years. I just haven't seen any of it for some reason.
Yeah, so this is why her career. This is why I made the mistake of thinking this was like super early, because she had a handful of standout roles when she was actually a lot younger, and then after this time, because I think she was 17 when this was made.
Yeah, I was going to say she was 17 here.
So she is still young, but then she actually makes a lot more movies after this, but they're all things I've seen none of. And I'm sorry, she's in Suspiria, but I don't even remember her in that. Yeah, so maybe you're right. Like, yeah, it's a weird career.
Hmm.
Like, maybe you're right. That yeah, there does seem like she's sort of pulled back a bit from that and went into much more of an indie sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
things like I Love You, Daddy, November Criminals, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, Suspiria, Greta. These are all like low budgets indie art house films.
Big Mama's House.
Where is that?
That was in 1998 or something, right? Like
she was 3.
2006. She was a tiny kid.
Yes,
Yeah, like I feel like between Kick-Ass and what's the other movie? Let Me In.
Yeah,
like, she's really good in those movies, and like
500 Days of Summer as well.
Yeah, she's good in that.
Forgot about her in that. Yeah,
she's great. And then she's definitely I don't know. Yeah, is she choosing smaller roles or?
I think that's exactly what you said. Actually, seems right. She seems like she's pulled out. She was also in Dishonored. The games just gets better.
Done some voice acting, yeah.
Yeah. Either way, again, this role that she's playing is like the kind of the most cliched role of any, the put upon hooker with a heart of gold. Like there's a whole TV trope section about this, and she's just like this nice old man in the bar. She's just like, he's the only one who she can connect with. I don't know, again, a really sort of dumb role, but Chloe's really good at it. She just she adds a humanity. So yeah, this works. This
yeah, I was just gonna say she also disappears for like 80% of the movie as well. Is the other problem? Like
that's the thing. Her whole arc with like her pimp is like finished after like 45 minutes, an hour after that 18-second showdown thing, and it's like, okay, now we don't need her really. Maybe like maybe he does that, resolves, and he's like, oh, I dipped my toe into the vigilante pool and it's done. And then you have that other guy, the fixer, come in, take out the prostitute, and then he has vengeance on him, and then that's the movie. But yeah, I don't know.
Like, yeah, again, if you remove one of those narratives, it is a cleaner film. But I guess that's where it works. It's janky and it feels like a real situation unfolding, maybe.
And I personally feel like we didn't need the scene of him like catching up with his friends.
That's what I was just about to say. That's the other part that feels weird, but becomes the through line of them all. It's like he sees Bill Pullman and what is her name? Anyway, continue. Yeah, he goes in there. It's like it feels like, okay. It's because again, it's the backstory, but it's not backstory. It's like he knows some people in the government, but what did he do? It's like, oh, we'll never tell. It's like, but why? Like you can tell me, guys, and they don't. It's weird. I kind of agree. I wonder if it's cleaner if that's not there, and it's just like, no, he does this on his own. Because I know I read that almost as if like he's in witness protection or something, and because that's like he's like, I need permission. It's like, but why? Because if he's dead, like which is what they say, you had a nice funeral. Why does he need protection? Why is there any of this going on? Like, why does he need permission? Sorry, like. I don't.
It's just stuff I'm not interested in. I'm like, just let him be a dad that's taking vengeance out on people.
Yeah.
Is this movie better if Chloe Grace Moretz is his daughter, and he's like, stop being a hooker, just come on?
I mean, maybe you could make something more nuanced, I guess, but it doesn't seem. I doubt it changes the overall structure very much.
No.
Yeah, but it'd be cool.
All
right.
What could she biologically be his daughter? I don't know.
You might change the actress. Like you don't need.
Sure.
Doesn't need to keep it there. But again, it can be one of those interesting unanswered questions. Like, is she his daughter, or is it an adoption thing? What's going on here? I like the idea of just there being a lot of questions here that never get answered, and each time is like they reference, remember New York? And it's like, what happened in New York? Was it the Avengers?
The Avengers,
and we don't know. The thing is, maybe this is in the MCU. So.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have anything else to bring up?
Nope.
All right. Equalizer 2. Despite the House of Hardware horrors still fresh in the mind of all Bostonites, Robbie Mack, as he now goes by, has apparently overcome his OCD and spends his days dispensing vigilante justice on a small scale. However, he is forced once again to unearth his true skills when someone close to him is murdered. All right. What do you guys think of this movie?
This is the one that, I mean, it seems universally is the least liked of the trilogy. It's the one that like even I keep being like, oh, what happened in this one? I'm like, oh, that's right. Okay. I'm like, okay, we got Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
We got the murder mystery, and we got the Storm Island. I'm like, okay, that's how I remember this movie. Really,
the series has good showdown locations, Hardware House and
but
Island.
it's like it feels so. Watching the final act of this one, I was like, man, this feels like a PS3 game, like a PS3. I was like, where it's like, okay, now they go into like the secluded island and like it's all stormy and it's such a cool environment for them to do this final boss battle. And this guy's a sniper on the roof, like taking shots at him. And it's like, I was like, this is Uncharted 1. Like, I don't know. It's like, it feels weird. Not weird, but it feels very like, okay, cool. Now it's time for the epic showdown. I was waiting for Vengeance by Zach Hempsey to start playing again. Like it's his theme song. He probably plays it on a boombox before he
comes out. Would it be better if Denzel put in earphones and listened to Vengeance before he killed people?
I will have vengeance.
It's like he's
just killing people. He's just listening to it, and it drops out at one point, and you don't hear it anymore. He's like,
you just hear the screams of the people he's murdering,
and he can't kill people if he's not listening to.
Maybe
OCD.
I think we could write a movie, guys.
There's parts of this I like. I like Pedro Pascal. I saw the twist coming. Like straight away, I was just like, he's gonna be bad.
I don't know. It's so telegraphed or something. I don't know. It's so obvious.
Cliche.
You mentioned murder mystery. I'm like, it's not really a mystery though, right? It's just like
not her, but it's like when she's investigating that first, the guy that gets killed. It's like I was like, okay, who is this? But it's like that's almost unnecessary because it's like, no, now we've got to kill her because she's investigating. And it's like, okay, but who was that originally? Like, what was going on there? It doesn't matter.
It's pretty much unanswered and doesn't matter. You're right.
It's an introduction to it. Yeah, it's just meant to make you go, oh wow, random people are dying. And but again, kind of pointless. You cut it out and it would still be there. Yeah, it's framed as a mystery, but there's no real mystery. Like it's pretty much Denzel's like, oh, she died. What? Oh, here's my friend. Hey, I know it's you, by the way. Okay, all right. Glad we could get there.
Denzel solves it before. Yeah.
Like basically, there is no reveal. There's no like detective work. He's just like, yeah, you killed her, right?
Yeah. There's no great moment of like light bulb moment for him where he realizes like.
No, and in a movie, it's all about detail, and we're in a series. It's a guy who's very precise with his things. You kind of think there would be maybe, or
this movie's kind of a mess plot wise.
It is
like it's very simple, but then even the simplicity of it, they flub.
Yeah, it kind of becomes overly convoluted.
Yeah,
he's got the relationship with the younger man that he's helping him paint the walls and stuff like that. So that's his story of him trying to help this guy. Same as what he was doing for Chloe in the first one, like guide him through life and tough love and all this sort of thing where he gets really tough love with him, and like tells him to shoot him in the head and stuff like that. And
that's all you had is the drug deal part. Hey?
See, stirring up the drug dealers, like that goes nowhere, but it seems like they're going to come after them and they don't. Like, it's almost like a cut scene or something, which they totally would. Yes.
They'd be after him he wouldn't be downstairs having an argument with that guy. They'd be coming down with guns to take him.
Because they're all up there like, who was that guy?
Like, man, that was scary.
Like, you guys just go chill. You just
drugs are scary, man.
You're not going to do anything. Again, it's like those two mismatched stories. There is one here of him in this other Boston neighborhood. Again, I don't know how he's still in Boston. A whole Home Depot has been like the site of a massacre, and he's just like, I'm going to drive Lyft now.
Yep. We need to figure out how he's disposing of these bodies because, like, no one's on his tail for it. He's clean, whatever he's doing.
I'm guessing maybe that's what he means when he's asking permission, right? He's like, hey, to his old government ops friends, he's like, by the way, can you clean up the bodies in my wake?
Maybe it's like John Wick, where the cops are just like, you're working again, McCall, and he's like, yes, I am.
It is. I told you.
I'm thinking I'm back.
Like these movies, despite being grounded, especially this one, like they despite not being in a stylized world like John Wick with a secret society, there is a lot of convenient like what happened in the first one, the two cops, the crooked cops are killed.
Yeah.
And I think they're like left as a they're left in they're in their own trunk at the police precinct. I'm like, if that happens, if cops are just murdered and given to them, like the city's going lockdown for that kind of thing. It's a big deal.
He didn't murder them though.
No, he didn't, but the mafia.
Yeah, okay.
But it's this whole thing of like
the whole city would be up in arms.
Nothing, like the mafia would be, their whole thing would be screwed. But they're just like, oh yeah, you could just taunt cops here, and like, despite being grounded, these movies have operated like that heightened sort of world where there is so much crime and there is so many. It's like in this one,
it's Gotham City is what it feels like to me.
It does, yeah. It's Boston in a Gotham world where like the guys the nameless suits that he beats them up because they give the intern gets in the car and
that's right, yeah, he's like they drug the intern, so he really like hurts these dudes though. It's like Batman punishment where it's like, I'm not going to kill you, but you may never walk again.
Yeah.
For life.
Yes.
Like that whole scene, he goes up and he's like, oh, do you want to ask about your girlfriend? He's like, not my girlfriend, just an intern. It's like, oh god, these guys couldn't be more evil if you tried. Yeah. It's just this world where the worst people are the worst people, and only McCall he's Batman, like you said. And so this whole like, where is all the bodies? It's kind of like, it's just, I don't know, none of the cops care in this world either. It's fine.
Yeah, this rich guy and his parents aren't coming after him at all. Like,
no, even though they know who he is because of Lyft, and they're like, he's like, leave me a good review.
Yeah, he's like, leave me a good review. Would you not be onto Lyft customer support immediately? Like,
he gets fired the next day. It's just like,
it's like, by the way, I think one of your drivers killed everyone in that hardware store, guys.
4 people last night.
It's a bit weird. This is the movie where his OCD really doesn't come into effect.
It's super inconsistent, yeah.
I don't think it's even here. Like, I can't remember any scene where he does it. There's no, except like maybe the occasional glass moving. I don't know. Do you feel like they were trying to abandon it, or you reckon they're just an oversight?
No, I feel like they're giving up on it. Like, there's a moment where you can see the tea bag sitting on a napkin. But you don't see him unfolding it. It's just, he was there and did that. I think he does it when he goes to Turkey to rescue that child.
That's right. You're right. The opening
he does it there at the start because he heard about it, because the bookstore he goes to, right? My goodness. The guardian angel shit this guy does, unbelievable.
Yep. And she's just like, no, I don't have to sell my house anymore.
Yeah.
She's like, it's so weird how it worked out. And he's like, now I can buy my book.
Also, that kid is like telling on him immediately. That kid is not keeping that secret.
Yeah, kids are not good at the best of times. No. She's been to Turkey and stuff.
It's like, I watched him murder 3 people in front of me, but mum's the word.
She's just like, the scary man was in here again.
He's bought another book. Oh, shit, here he comes again. He's buying another book.
Yeah. Would this movie be better if at one point he told somebody, like, I did it, okay, I saved your life. It's me. Just give me some thanks. And they're like, oh.
He's like, you never know. It could be one of your customers that did it. So just throwing it out there.
At any moment.
I might get a discount on that next rare book that I buy.
He's like, man, I really wish you knew who did that and saved your daughter for you.
Yeah, he's like, I need to order the book, I Saved Your Daughter. Can you order in that book, please?
I grew that beard for 6 months. I need thanks.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to go save your daughter, but it's going to take me a few months to go on disguise.
Oh, God, disguise. Yeah.
I honestly thought he was going to rip the beard off. And then, like, I think that's just his beard. But he's got hair in the next scene.
Made me think that he did have a fake one on. But that's the other thing. I don't like that he grew his hair out in this one. I like shaved head Denzel. And I'm glad they went back for the third one. But
again, makes a question, why? Why is he shaving his head so precisely? We never see him shaving his head.
No, it makes him look too young.
In the first one, you do. Too. The first shot you see of him, he's in the bathroom and he finishes shaving his head.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's, So, a movie that's 2 hours and 12 minutes, they could have given me more info. Like, does he need to shave it every morning? I don't know. I want more. This movie either needs to be an hour and a half or 3.5 hours. There's no in between, okay?
No, it doesn't need to be 3.5.
No, it needs to do that and just show me everything he does. Absolutely everything.
It's the TV series, Disney Plus.
The finale, as cool as it is, and like it is like a video game, finale location. Literally everybody in that, except for Robert McCall, makes like the worst decisions. Like, you're in a hurricane, you're not going to get up in a sniper's nest. That's pointless. It's also, it's a location full of buildings. It's not an open field or something. Guys are running in one by one and getting taken out. Like, he never is surrounded by people.
Yeah.
Like, he saves that kid by shooting the tire out on the car, and then Pedro just gives up on shooting the car after
Damn
that.
it.
I missed that one shot. I can't shoot again now.
He'll outsmart me every time.
Yeah.
He's like, damn it, now I've got to start the countdown again.
Yeah.
10, 9. They don't feel like this like well-organized private militia group, that can do all these assassinations and stuff like that, but they can't take out or coordinate as a team in this. They're just getting massacred one by one.
Yeah.
It's even like when she's like his work friends and his wife's leaving and he's off talking to this dude who's like 6'5", 300 kilos of muscle and a big beard. It's like, oh, just your work friends at the office, huh? It's like, no, these are clearly like special ops murderers. It's like, come on, guys.
Yep.
There's a line in this movie that I'm still stewing on that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. There's a part when Robbie Mack invites Miles as the kid up to his apartment. He's offered water or tea, and he says, "What do I look like, Jackie Chan?" What does this mean?
Actually, he doesn't want tea. I don't know.
Because Jackie Chan likes tea.
Is that what it means?
Tea is like an Asian export, largely.
Tea
I guess
British. I don't know.
The British have co-opted it like so many other things, but
that's a subtle reference.
The direct quote is iced tea or water. Iced tea is an American thing.
I know it's very much not tea, but
it's even worse.
Is it like an age thing? He's saying Jackie Chan's old people drink tea. I'll have water. I don't know.
Do you see why this lives in my head rent free?
I hadn't even thought about it a second time, but now I'm going to, and now it's going to be in my head.
We should just start using that line when someone offers us 2 drinks. Just say, "Do I look like Jackie Chan?" and let them figure it out.
I'm going to use it tomorrow when my wife asks if I want to drink a Pepsi Max. I'm going to be like, "What do I look like, Jackie Chan?"
I'm gonna alienate my favorite cafe. Do you want your usual coffee? What do I look like, Jackie Chan? Get out.
Say it until someone gets it and goes, "Yeah, okay, true." And then you're like, "What does it mean?" Like, explain to me. Yeah.
No, because they'll just be like, "Oh, we love the Equalizer too."
Like,
I don't know if I want to talk to you anymore.
Oh, they're a podcast fan.
Or they are. That's different. All right, that'll be our code to find out. If anyone's a true fan, we'll be like, "Do I look like Jackie Chan?" And
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. This movie is. I don't like Pedro clean shaven. That was my other big thought.
It's different.
The man needs facial hair.
Yeah, he does.
Can't grow much of it.
He also gets a thumb in the eye as well, which is,
I know,
his Game of Thrones history is a little ironic.
That's true. That's very true. That'll become a Sean Bean thing for him. I think every movie he gets it.
I think there's actually another one outside of Game of Thrones as well where that happens to him.
Yeah, I feel like it happened. I don't know if it was The Last of Us, but I feel like I've seen it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on Equalizer 2?
Nope.
Oh, there's a quote at the end that's nice. "I leave you with the best of me." That was cool. I don't know if he. Yeah.
I like the guy hiding in the safe room in his house and Pedro trying to find him. That's kind of tense. But as soon I said it to my wife as well. That the fact that he goes out as soon as like the killers have walked away, I'm like, dude, stay in there for a while. Like, don't just walk out straight away. Like, you got to. I'd be chilling there for hours after that.
He has claustrophobia though.
Yeah, conveniently.
Never comes up again.
He doesn't care about like being in the trunk of the car.
Yeah, he should be dead after that. Yeah. All right, Equalizer 3. Trotting the globe because he presumably cannot keep living in Boston with all the notches on his belt, Roberto Macaulay finds himself in a small Italian town under the thumb of some mafia people. In true fashion, Senor Roberto must become the guardian angel and step in where the law fails. Greta, what was your first thoughts when you saw beautiful Italian countryside? You're like, "Oh, this is okay. This is what the Equalizer is."
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about the Equalizer. I didn't realize he was like vigilante level justice. I assumed he was like world saving justice style.
No, it's in the name. He equalizes, man.
Oh, look, I get it now. So I thought, oh, this is a great way to like stop your movies from getting too big, right? Like, you get to the third one, it's like, well, he saved the world twice. are we going to make him save the world again? Instead, like, injure him and make him enamored with this little Italian city, and then have him save them. That's like a really nice way to keep your story small, rather than, because I think franchises often have that problem, like particularly MCU's super guilty of it, as like, we have to one up the last movie. Let's make it bigger and bigger. Anyway, I say all this. That's not the case with these movies anyway, because he's just a vigilante, and I didn't know that.
Yes,
but yeah, I quite enjoyed this movie. Like, not knowing much about the character didn't really, affect my enjoyment of it too much. That opening scene where so the scene Luke and I think, I don't know if this is Luke's scene, but he shoots a guy in the head and then continues to shoot through his head to shoot the guy behind him. Like, that scene is just brutal.
He shoves the gun into the dude's head,
yes,
and shoots through his head, and uses his head as a shield at the same time.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit, what did I just watch? That was great.
Yep.
Could it be doper? I don't think so. Yeah, but yeah. Sorry.
Brutal introduction. I'm like, man, what? This trilogy is gonna be wild.
What is this sick shit I'm watching?
I really enjoyed the third one. Especially after the second one. I was like, here we go again. I got to do this. And then I really enjoyed like the location and everything like that. I enjoyed the story of him just like this. No, I want to be here. Like, I just want, this is my new home and all this sort of stuff, and coming in and ruin it. I had disliked the villains, as in I hated them, but they're cliches, obviously. Cliche bad guys, but I wanted to see them get their comeuppance.
At this point, you don't want nuanced villains in an Equalizer movie, right? You want
no.
You just want more of the same.
I don't know how I'd feel then when he brutalizes them and murders them. It's
That's
like,
right.
that guy had a family.
Yeah, I don't want to feel. I don't feel guilt.
But he's unstoppable. Like,
yeah,
he never gets outsmarted or outmaneuvered.
Only by children left in the car with a gun.
Yeah. Because he didn't suspect anything. But like, he really just can take out a whole organization, like, on his own, flicking some lights off, and just goes in there and just takes them all out. But
it's convenient where he's like, if that guy didn't have his gun any closer to his head, he doesn't get out of that situation, right? It's like, thank goodness he puts his gun too close to his skull so he can grab it. But either way, look, the Italian thing is a really nice change. As in, these movies are location based, even whether or not you notice that the first two are based in Boston, and they try to show a bit about that. Like, there's a lot of row houses and stuff. But this one being in Italy keeps it very fresh, and I know, it's indicative of a broader change that makes this feel like a really, like, the best thing the sequels do, where it does kind of complicate a bit more. The gun, he's now using guns, right? In the first one, he doesn't touch a gun. It's all tools and weapons and everything. In this one, though, he is just shooting dudes through the heads of his cronies. He's but also then the morality is a bit more explored, because he leaves the kid and that gets him shot. So okay, it's familiar, but it's different. You're in a different setting. You are starting to see maybe he's not unstoppable, because this vigilante thing he has of just good and evil might be challenged. It's not ultimately, but it is enough that as an opening scene, I was hooked straight away. I was like, this is beautiful looking. This is, I don't know, it's intriguing. Like, is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy? You don't really know exactly what's going on. And then it creates an interesting thing where he's even though he's still unstoppable, 2/3 of this movie is actually, he's kind of not really there. He's investing in the world, and it's like, okay, this is why he will have to eventually do it. But it's only really in the last quarter or third that he starts to kill people. A lot of it is the cop trying to stop things, and just the build up, which I really liked. Like, it was a lot more interesting seeing it through his eyes of why he cares about this place, rather than just he just helps everybody. It's like, no, there's a reason why. There's because Italy is beautiful looking, and they all serve nice.
Care about the security guard instead of just like, oh, the fat security guard. we want to save him. I like that, and I like, you go through, you meet all the families, you meet the shop owner, you see him getting ripped off, you feel bad for him, but then you see him be really nice to Robert McCallum, like, no, I'll help you. Like, we're all a big family. You're friends with the doctor. I'll help you, and refuses to take it, even though he owes these people money.
Yeah, not the best idea. This guy's like, I'll pay you money for your debt.
That's probably why you're in debt, man. Stop giving away food for free.
Free fish.
I like, like the guy gives him the hat, and everyone knows, like, oh, that guy, he got rid of that hat finally.
That was a really cool
great
touch.
Community little thing. Like, everyone knows everybody. I don't know. I feel like this is my favorite of the trilogy. I really, really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the combat, the build to the like the showdowns towards the end and everything like that. It was really good. Cracks me up that like he ended this whole drug ring and crime organization and everything like that to get this guy's super back, like get this guy's money back.
That's right. So the whole
I'll shove a gun into this dude's head and shoot another guy through his head because I need to get Joey's money back.
Yeah, because he's owed like 100K.
Got crypto scammed.
Relevant. Keeps it relevant too.
The plot kind of, it's largely contained in this smaller town, but then it does branch out into this wider criminal organization that's operating out of wherever it is, Rome. Yeah. I don't know. How did you guys? That was probably my only criticism of it. Like, I kind of wish they'd kept it a bit smaller and not necessarily involved that wider criminal ring. I don't know.
How would you?
The problem is, I feel like that's just in service of introducing Dakota Fanning and her character, and that, like, do we need all of that?
Again, these movies are movies of two clashing arcs. One of his personal government, previous sort of life thing. One of them of the town that he's invested in, and that's exactly. I had the same thought. I was like, the whole time, Dakota Fanning's character actually is irrelevant. She doesn't uncover anything. I should have known that there was going to be the thematic reveal of it's the daughter of his old friends. Okay, makes sense. But she's superfluous because he's like, go here. She does. He's like, by the way, it's not terrorism. It's real estate. And it's like she never actually does anything, right? She's just there to be told, and sort of she doesn't even bring in any government help. She just But you're right.
She's there to get the credit for stopping this.
Yeah, which I guess avoids him from being discovered. I don't know. You're right. You could cut that out and make this. But
this is already a pretty tight movie, and it flows pretty well.
It's a lot leaner, which is.
And I think, like, considering how at odds the other plot lines are in the other movies, this one feels largely coherent comparatively, I think.
I agree.
And I feel like even though I watched this one the most recent, I only watched it the other day, I feel like this is the one I would soonest rewatch again. I would be like, I'll watch the third one again.
This is the one I would rewatch as a movie, right? This feels like more of a pure film in terms of it's got a cohesive beginning, middle, end. It's all one thing. Whereas 1 and 2 have got a lot of like chopped up qualities of, even in number 2, it's like, here's him just in the garden schooling Miles on how to put down the undercoating when you paint. I don't know, primer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. I'll watch Denzel do that. Whereas this one, I don't know if I'd really be like, I'm going to watch him buying a hat, but I will watch this whole movie and be like, hell yeah, I want to live in Italy as well. I wonder. I have the same thought. I assumed it was going to be, he's in Italy, so it's obviously going to be the mafia. And I was assuming it'll be like, he's a very small town crime, and it'll be a small town vengeance, and it'll be more like the whole, can I live here after I kill the people that everybody knows?
Yeah.
But then, they kind of...
Maybe he moved there because he killed America. Like, he went through and just, Boston's no more. Ben Affleck was his last target.
Boston, just a state of emergency.
The smoking crater, Hey, I got permission. I was allowed to do it.
They never... And she's gone now, so she can't take away the permission.
She can't stop me.
Wild animal.
That's just like the only way to stop all the evil is by nuking the whole thing.
It's cover the tracks. It's brutal. It's brutal when they throw bloody Hector Salamanca out the window as well.
That scene was gnarly.
What?
Yeah, it was.
Like, how are these people not getting arrested for this?
Yeah, there's a lot of cops
this
turning
whole
a blind eye
building's just
here.
like, oh, damn it.
Well, the doctor says it very clearly. This happens everywhere in Italy. The mafia are involved. And from what I've gathered, it's fairly true. Like, it's obviously not this evil. It's not just like dudes on bikes just marauding. But the mafia is very open and active in all of Italy. And so it's like, yeah, this is what we do here. But I really liked the connecting, like, real estate and sort of the problem. You know, like, it made it feel surprisingly relevant and actually made it feel like it made it feel a lot more pressing. It's like, oh yeah, this is what we're facing in 2023. We are facing like real estate monsters who are effectively like, can we destroy this area, gentrify whole neighborhoods, and just ruin it, essentially, like increase demand. Sorry, increase demand, control supply.
Yeah,
just only
outside of throwing bodies out the window, a legal way to like make a lot of money, and
and that's exactly it. It's like these guys are very real, except for the latent murder.
Yeah,
but it was really I don't know. I just found that surprisingly resonant of like, oh yeah, these guys are in this beautiful Italian town that they're looking to destroy because they can put casinos there. I'm like, yeah, that is what's happening, and like in the
especially Sydney. You're renting in Sydney. You'd be
that's what I'm saying. Like
every day.
I'm like, yeah, this was happening with this is a constant part of the discourse about the Star Casino. Like, why is this megalomaniac billionaire's one place allowed to basically destroy the nightlife of the whole city? Like, really, real estate is a very pressing issue. Like, I just found it, but it's global as well. It is this thing that the whole cost of living crisis everywhere and the Airbnb issues and all this. I'm like, yeah, this is part of them. This is what's happening all across the world. I'm like, it was more poignant than I was expecting, I guess, to be like, hey, we are kind of aware that there's a world going on, guys. We're not just being like the classic, these are Italian evil men who are like, we want to kill everybody and have their money. It's like, no, they're real estate magnates. They're the villains of 2023. It's not the Russian people traffickers anymore.
Yeah,
it's real estate agents. I'm like, hell yeah, Denzel.
I'm for that.
But but all the. But his brother is so evil. Just thinking back to him, like he cuts the police commissioner's hand off him.
Yes, yeah, that's brutal.
It's pretty good.
How did you guys feel about like the final scene where Robert's just like murdering everyone in that mafia townhouse or whatever?
He's Batman. He's totally Batman in that scene, just with murder.
Yep.
Lurking in the shadows, like dropping down from the ceiling, picking them up, and
it's kind of like a horror movie with him as the monster.
He's the Michael Myers, just like the shape, going around killing them all, and it just follows him as he crawls through blocks of the city streets, slowly dying. It's like, oh my god, this is brutal. Good. On the drugs that he dispersed. Poetic.
There's Poetic. Yeah, again, I liked it. Like, this movie operates in the boundaries of heightened everything. Everyone's super evil, so their end needs to be super gory and super violent. Like this movie in a lot of ways felt like the ultimate of the kind of like the escapism of this whole trilogy. Like being in Italy, it's like often these movies that are based in other countries, part of the charm is that you get to go and be in this country, right? So that's why rom-coms work. It's like, this is set on Greece, so you get to just hang out in Greece. It's like, you hang out in Italy, and it's really nice. And so, this one felt like the most escapist in a lot of ways. Of like, you go to a beautiful country for an hour and 50 minutes, and you see justice dispensed for the little guy, and kind of in the purest way, because all the villains are so beyond cartoonish in this, really.
Yeah.
I know, but like I was saying before, the humanity that Robert goes through is a lot better fleshed out. Like the reason why he's invested, his relationship with the doctor is really nice. Like it actually feels kind of like you can see it, right?
Yeah, and the cop too. Like I don't know, he was really nice. Other half of Robert, I guess, because he's also trying to do the right thing, but he just doesn't have the skills that Robert has, I guess. Like there's that scene in the restaurant where they're threatening, and then they're threatening him, and then the camera just pans around and Robert's sitting there in the corner. Like that's a good scene. Like
I remember in the cinema, even like I was getting, my heart was starting to race a bit. I was like, oh, what is going to happen here? Because you're feeling that like in another movie, this is like this is the big part of tragedy almost, where it's like, these guys are going to probably kill the cop at some point, and this really sucks. But in this, it's like, thank God, thank God Denzel's here.
Yeah,
Batman's
All
in
will
the
be
corner.
well. Yeah, and that's going to be fine. We know where it's going to go. And again, these movies know exactly what they are. They well, no, that's not true. They kind of want to do two things, but this one more than anything knows what it is. There's not as much time meandering with convoluted plot lines. It's just like, no, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and like it's an hour and 40 minutes or something. Like it's a much tighter film. I didn't feel like there's so many scenes that you could probably cut and have a tighter film. Like it feels like a nice tight movie.
No, it works. Did you buy the his relationship with the waitress?
The waitress, yeah.
Yeah, which is it's never explicitly said it's romantic,
No, it's
but
not.
it's like, because she seems a lot younger than him.
Yes, I feel like that's why it's not explicitly said.
Yeah. But then again, it's a nice nod. It's like, remember how back in the 90s we used to do this? 60-year-old men would always hook up with the 20-year-old women.
It's
and
true.
this is a nod at like, hey, we're almost doing that, guys, but we're not gonna.
This could be platonic.
Man,
I just don't know.
see, if he had OCD, the second she tried to make him change his tea to a coffee, he would have just been like, no. You're cancelled to me.
That's part of his character growth, though, right?
Yeah, he's just like, okay, I'll guess I'm a coffee drinker now.
He would have poured that hot coffee over her head in one of the other films, but not Italian Robert.
No, not Roberto. Roberto is a different man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe there's some problematic treatment with serious mental illnesses here. We don't know. I'm not going to interrogate that on this podcast, but no. Don't come to this if you want to know how it should be treated.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I came out of it being like, no, that was good. I'm glad that it cleansed the palate after number 2, because I found quite boring, really, for the most part. And yeah, this was good.
Yeah.
Do we want a 4?
Apparently we're not getting one, but
oh really?
Apparently Denzel's not coming back, at least anyway. Maybe Dakota Fanning will be the new Equalizer.
She's had also an interesting career.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
Granny, you mentioned before, Man on Fire. So this is a reunion of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. But I was looking at this, because like she was a big thing for a while. She was big child star.
Yep.
And then
possibly had that same problem that I feel like a lot of those female child stars suffer from.
Very interesting comparison with Chloe Grace Moretz. Like, I didn't even realize she was in Twilight, but she's in Twilight.
Oh, yeah, she's one of the Illuminati.
One of those things, whatever that means. But yeah,
you watched those movies. Don't act like you didn't watch those movies.
You know it.
Sorry, I don't remember. I didn't invest in the lore. Sorry, guys. But she's also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which we just talked about. But yeah, weird career. Like, and yeah, I don't think I ever thought of it the way you said it, but you're probably right. Like, chose to go a different path than, quite possibly because of what happened when she was younger in the system.
I feel like her sister, Elle Fanning, has had a bigger career.
So she's had a
recent years,
and that one's interesting because she's the younger sister, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, she's been the one who's kind of trumped her a lot. I don't know how it works in the in the system, if there's like because there's also like the Farmiga sisters, Vera Farmiga and Tessa Farmiga. There's the Olsen twins and Elizabeth Olsen. Like, she's had obviously a much better career.
Yeah.
I wonder if that comes into play, or if it's just maybe one's a better actor, or if it's just dumb luck, right?
I don't know. I can't begin to pretend I understand the machinations of Hollywood.
Well, we should start. That's what we're going to do for our next episode. We're going to do an investigation into Hollywood.
Yeah,
figure out what's up.
Be some drama going on behind the scenes there in Hollywood. Something must be.
Not at the moment. It's all on hold because they're all
on strike. Well, it's just starting back, so all those problematic people are getting back to work,
revving their engines.
No, justice for the writers. Justice for the writers.
I stand with them. I'm part of the guild.
What a brave stance.
Yep.
What a brave stance.
Down to them.
That's I keep my membership renewed for this reason. All right. Should we rank them, or do you guys have anything else to mention?
3-1-2.
Yeah.
I like 1, but I don't know. I really enjoyed 3.
Yeah, I'm probably 3, 1, Man on Fire, 2.
You can't have Tony Scott in here, okay?
I need to watch Man on Fire. I haven't watched Man on Fire.
You don't need to.
Isn't that like 3 hours long though?
It's very long, yes, from memory.
I do want to watch that now.
2.5 hours, 39%. Nah, I'm good.
It's a big on all the Ringer stuff, like the rewatchables, they always talk about it. I'm curious to see for that. But yeah, 3-1-2 I think is fair. Like, yeah, 2 is the worst of this franchise. Ironic because he leaves the quote, "I leave you the best of me," and he actually left us the worst of him. But number 3 is the best of him. Like, yeah, getting out of America might be good for people, you know. Even in a city where it's under the boot of the mafia, Lost a bit better.
Yeah, when people are being thrown from the buildings, these old men, he's still like, man, this place is awesome. He's
At least I'm not in Boston anymore.
Thank God I'm not in Boston anymore with Ben Affleck as the mayor.
Everyone, he's like, what are you all surprised at? This happens every day in Boston, guys. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad we're all in agreement then. I want to see Denzel. I want to see Equalizer 4. I hope they do make it. It's just...
Apparently, no. I just was Googling. He's not going to. They reckon maybe there will be a 4th one that down the line, but not for a while.
Yeah.
But he's definitely won't be involved, he said.
So these came out in 2014, 2018, 2023. So that's 4 and 5 years. I reckon 2027, when the Civil War breaks out and the resources are down to naught, Denzel's going to not have a lot of money, and he's going to need to make Equalizer 4 to pay for his machetes.
Is there a universe where we get like AVP, but it's like John Wick versus Equalizer?
Wouldn't even be a competition, right?
No. Sorry. I think what's
versus
more likely
Liam Neeson from Taken.
That's more likely, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a fight. That's a bad fight. Okay, we see that.
It's team up.
I think what's more likely is there's a movie in between that and the Book of Eli that connects them. Like the bombs fall and Robert loses his eyesight and becomes Eli.
Maybe.
Eli, good movie.
Yeah.
No, Book of Eli's dope.
It's okay.
Like Fallout.
I looked at a list of like Denzel's top movies because I can't say I've seen like tons of Denzel movies, right? And like the Equalizer trilogy was number 4, his 4th best films. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I feel like he's had a long and storied career in Hollywood. But then looking through his filmography, it's like Training Day. I only watched that the first time like a few years ago, but I really enjoyed it.
Good film.
But I can't say I'm like a huge fan of his otherwise. Like I've seen plenty of random movies like Deja Vu.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the cinema.
Yeah.
I remember when we saw that in the cinema still for some reason. Like that movie made an impression because it's not good. Like it's not a good film.
Yeah.
But you're right. But I had the same thought. I'm like, I am not. Because I looked through his whole filmography. I'm like, I've seen barely any of them really. But it's like everyone knows who Denzel Washington is. It's because he's kind of one of those true movie stars, I guess, in the sense that he doesn't just make crap, but he makes popularist films, but he also makes some like was it just 2016 he made Fences. Which was like based off a small play, real true art house. He made Tragedy of Macbeth a couple of years ago,
and he like directed Fences and
exactly. So like there's so he does on one hand he has this like he does have this like true sort of thespian spirit, but then at the same time he's making Gladiator 2 and he's in The Equalizers and Two Guns, Flight. Like he's kind of like guys. Is like he knows kind of how to appeal to everybody. He's like, and in his early career, there's like not blaxploitation, but like he's playing to the fact that he was like a really charismatic black actor in a lot of his earlier stuff. And he makes things like Glory where it's like, okay, this is sort of speaking to the discussion. Like then he makes Philadelphia, which is obviously a big deal because it's talking about AIDS and he's playing the black lawyer who defends it. Like, so he's kind of he's kind of always at the front of the conversation of like what's changing, what's important. He keeps himself relevant. Yeah.
I think I honestly, just going through his thing, I haven't seen many of his stuff at all, really. I've only seen Remember the Titans, American Gangster, and The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Starring John Travolta as the villain.
You should see Training Day.
Yeah, Training Day is really good.
Yeah, he's really good in it too.
Won him his second Oscar.
He won an Oscar for it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, but he's ubiquitous. He's just everywhere. Like he'll just turn up in these weird films you don't know about. Like there was another movie made a few years ago, Roman J. Israel Esquire. I don't think anybody saw that movie at all. But it's like, okay, he makes interesting things. He's relevant.
Hmm.
And he's much better than his son at acting. So let's remember that too.
That's a statement. I don't think I agree.
Big Tenet fan.
That's good.
I don't mind Tenet.
Absolutely.
Is Tenet worse than Two Guns?
Is Tenet worse?
No, but is
there's
John
some
David
weird comparisons here.
Equalizer
Is John David Washington's performance worse than Denzel's? Probably. Sorry.
We'll wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, like his early days.
Black Klansman is awesome. I love that movie.
Yeah, I should see that movie. Either way,
And
all right.
The creator is apparently good.
We'll see. That'll be the decider. We'll have to all see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us in this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Worst. Next week we're into spooky season, so we're doing horror classics, Evil Dead, Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy, The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. Very exciting. See some classics, and Sam Raimi's a favorite of ours, I think.
Absolutely. There better be a Tobey Maguire cameo.
It's not how time works.
It's not how time works. Time is linear.
Oh man.
All right.
But
anyway,
I've never watched him, so okay.
No, me either.
So, all right, cool. Yeah, thank you. Join us next time. If you enjoyed this, please like and share and subscribe on all platforms where you get good content. I wrote a book. I sponsor this podcast. Second book is coming to further sponsor it. So buy some books and we make more content. It's called The Taste of Iron as well.
Just read it.
Yep. Yeah, 5 stars on Spotify. That's really important. Please give us 5 stars on Spotify.
And Apple Podcasts.
And Apple Podcasts. People use that. And YouTube too. Watch us on YouTube.
Like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, right on. All right, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.